Hello YouTube, how's it going? So Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, I've just beaten the game on veteran difficulty, editing the video right now, and I wanted to make this video because, yeah, I did one for Advanced Warfare, but why I want to do one for Infinite Warfare is because this game is not as bad as I thought it would be. Like, when this game was first revealed, I think it was around the time that Battlefield 1 was revealed, I just remember this game got ratioed to hell. It sold very well, but the game was negatively received. And the irony of all of this is when I played through the game, it's actually one of the better futuristic Call of Duties I've played, mainly because the game does not pull punches. Now, let's face it, this game is basically Killzone 2. That's the funny thing about this, is that if you played Killzone 2, or you're just gonna see the similarities all the way down to the main antagonist. Now, the main antagonist is played by Kit Harington, who plays Jon Snow. I mean, that's what I'm going to call him because Jon Snow sounds so much cooler. But he's basically Colonel Raddick from Killzone 2, along with the... It's so similar to Killzone 2 that it's almost comical. But what they do excel at is the presentation of this game. This game is extremely well put together. And on top of everything, this review will contain spoilers. I'll put spoilers in the tags because this game came out in 2016. The game actually does a good job in making you feel like you're part of something bigger because, let's face it, it doesn't have any type of plot armor. Characters are going to die, and it's actually pretty shocking when it happens, because in Call of Duty games they tend to either avoid that entirely or save that for big reveals during the ending portion of a franchise. Now, with Advanced Warfare, they tried to create a bond between you and the character in a very incorrect way, where they try to force it onto the player, like when your friend dies in the beginning of the game. I forgot his name because he's so forgettable. When the protagonist's best friend dies, they do it so suddenly that you're just like, you know what, I don't even care about this guy. In this game, they clearly learned from Advanced Warfare, the writers of this game, and they said, we need to build a connection between the character and everyone they're with. And even though it is rushed, because this is just a one-note franchise in this point, it's still well put together where, for example, Ethan, who is this AI robot who is alive, technically, he's a cybernetic human combination. You actually feel for him. You're like, this guy actually does develop a bond between you and the character. And yes, it's the traditional military jargon, like, you're my brother, we're military brothers in arms. But it's done effectively, especially during the end credits, where they actually showcase eulogies by the characters who they wrote eulogies for the characters before they were going to die. Like, if they're in the military taking on suicidal missions, so if by the off chance they do perish, they have these eulogies which they give to their friends and family. And to me, that was actually one of the coolest things they could have done. I kind of hope that other Call of Duty games will follow suit in this. Now, this will only focus on the campaign, because there are not enough players to be playing multiplayer. There are a lot of people still playing zombies, and zombies is actually pretty fun here. Yeah, it's the same mechanics, you know, but with the goofy take where you're in a space, where you're in a theme park and you're killing zombies who are themed after theme park rides and clowns, but not really a hardcore zombies player. It's fun, but I'm just going to talk about the campaign. Now, the story, again, does have a lot of forgettable characters, but what it really excels at is just the presentation of it all. Like, the weapons look incredible. I did wish they had threat grenades like Advanced Warfare, but they don't. They have an array of different cool weapons that do have that futuristic look. To me, it's a really toned-down version of Call of Duty Black Ops 3 in terms of mobility systems and how they utilized it, but it definitely shows that they built from this game to create Black Ops 3, which does excel in a lot of its own systems. Now, what I really love about this game is definitely the fighter pilot sections. Granted, on veteran difficulty, these things are a pain in the ass. Basically, it's like Star Fox, but a lot more toned down. You would basically lock onto an enemy, enter into a dogfight, and just try and hit the enemy as best as you can. What I really detest about this game is every time you get hit, whether you're in the fighter jet or you're in the ground fights is that every time you get hit, you get stunned a little. Like the screen flashes and all that. If you have seizures, you should not play this game because it flashes in a way that's so annoying that it will literally just get you killed because you just can't see anything. I don't know whose idea what that was, but it was a really, really bad idea. But it does do an effective job in simulating this type of very high octane war. So basically the story, like I stated, is Killzone 2. Mars has invaded the Earth and they're planning to take us all over. I wouldn't say they're fascists, but they are very dedicated to the military order. They believe democracy, the leader believes democracy is completely just worthless and that the only way to rule is through hard leadership. Now, I will say that they do paint the war in a very cruel way, in the sense that both sides value their people, but Mars doesn't value it as much. Mars is more in the way that they will literally kill anyone and do whatever it takes in order to get results, just like the hell gas from Killzone. And there are situations where the game actually showcases them like honoring their dead. They're putting them down in body bags and laying them out. They care, or them dragging their allies to safety, and you can shoot them. Like they're enemy soldiers, no doubt about that, and they'll pick up an arms even though like when they're half dead and start firing back again, like the Hellgas from Killzone. But they honor their people to such a large degree that you do feel for them. They really do a really good job of presenting that both sides think they're right. I mean, granted, I do think the Earth are right, which are the Federation, because, they're not going around killing innocent people in mass droves, but it shows that they have their own way of society, and they do, fight for what they believe in. It's just all in the presentation of the game. The story and the writing itself is kind of just mediocre, but it's just the way that the game is constructed. In terms of gameplay, it is just a Call of Duty game. I do like the fact you can bring in any weapon you want. Like, you literally have an array of weapons, and you collect weapons from fallen soldiers. They scan them, and there are upgrades you can get for better grenades, increased armor, stuff like that. And I'll get more into that later. But the weapons, you can bring in whatever you want. The game does recommend a weapon that you should bring, but for the most part, you can pick whatever upgrades you want, and there's really no downside to it. Same thing for your fighter jet, but that's much more limited. Picking the default option is usually the way to go. Now, the game doesn't fashion itself in the same way as a traditional Call of Duty. It's more like Call of Duty Black Ops 2, where there are optional missions, and you can take those on if you wish. Thankfully, there aren't that many stealth missions, but they do mix things up with fighter jets and giant raids against enemy ships. It's not as elaborate as Call of Duty Black Ops 2, where you literally shift the entire story based on whether you did a side mission, whether someone lives, dies, stuff like that. Kind of wish they would bring that back, but it's a welcome addition that does change up everything, and I do thoroughly enjoy it. In terms of this game still looks beautiful. I mean, Call of Duty games tend to look beautiful even no matter what. Even Call of Duty Black Ops 2, Black Ops 1 still looks like a modern day game. It's absolutely enthralling of how well these animators and these character designers create these games. But overall, I think Infinite Warfare does deserve a second chance. It's actually a really good Call of Duty. I think the issue was that it released in a really bad time where people were just so tired of the futuristic setting, and that's where Battlefield actually won out with Battlefield 1. I strongly believe, I think it was Battlefield 1. I remember that very vividly until Battlefield 5 came out, and even though that game is pretty good, the way they marketed that game was not great. EA has gotten better at marketing games, but the way they marketed Battlefield 5 was just plain terrible. But definitely people were just like, they wanted something new, and EA and DICE brought that with Battlefield 1, so Infinite Warfare, even though it sold well, kind of got tossed in the side. Again, I didn't play this game when it came out. I was just like, I'm not interested in it. But I'm glad I did. I really hope they make a new one of this, because it's so refreshing in how it plays compared to Modern Warfare 2. Like, yeah, Modern Warfare 2 is a good game, but it plays like a traditional Call of Duty. It's clear, like with more recent Call of Duty games, they're playing it safe of how they execute the games. Now that I've been playing so much Call of Duty right now, and Infinite Warfare was definitely refreshing of how they decided to take this franchise in different directions. I just really love the credits with the eulogies. I think that's something they should really execute well in future games. The idea that not everyone can live, you know, do an everyone is dead situation in Netflix. If you know that show, it's an incredible Korean zombie drama where anyone could die at any time, no character is safe, and I think they should do that with Call of Duty, judging of what they did with Infinite Warfare. The idea that anyone could die. It doesn't matter if they're part of your platoon. It doesn't matter if you're the main character. It will happen, and I think that's something they should probably decide to exercise in future Call of Duty games, whatever the next one is. I think the next one is going to most likely be a new installment in the Black Ops franchise, but there is rumors going around. It hasn't been confirmed right now because of the whole Activision Blizzard FTC issue, that if they're skipping this year or not. It's right now just rumors, but until then we'll find out. But either way, Infinite Warfare, definitely a good game. Don't pay $60 for it because you're not going to get the full Call of Duty experience because lots of people are not playing this game multiplayer wise. But if you could find it for $20 like I did on Xbox Live or wherever you purchase games, GameFly is actually a pretty good option for finding games on the cheap. Yeah, get it there. So give it a chance, definitely, if you have $20 to spare and maybe 6 hours if you don't want to play the game on veteran. There is even a harder difficulty called Specialist. I haven't experienced it yet, but from my experience, games that go harder than veteran tend to be on the unfair category, like Inconceivable in Gears 5. But yeah, till next time, tell me what you think. I do appreciate you. Make sure you support me on Patreon. I'm trying to push that even more to try and diversify from YouTube ads. And that's it for me. I know your time is valuable. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.